In the Season 7 premiere, Arya ran into some friendly Lannister soldiers. One of the adorable things that one of the dudes said was how he wanted to see the Dragonpit, because he had never been to King's Landing, and the Dragonpit is one of King's Landing's 5 notable locations. And did you know that as of Season 7, Episode 1, the Dragonpit is the only notable location in King's Landing that we as viewers have not yet seen? The 4 that we have seen are the Red Keep, the Great Sept of Baelor, the Guildhall of the Alchemist, where they make the wildfire, and Flea Bottom, where the poor people live. Here's an aerial view of King's Landing from the show's opening credits. It looks like this thing here is the Great Sept of Baelor, and this thing over here is the Dragonpit. But if true, that would be different than the books. On screen, I think it will play out similar to the book description. Here's why. Check out the scene with Shay from Season 2, Episode 1. You can see the Great Sept of Baelor out in the distance at the top right. And then the shot scrolls left, and we can see that there is no Dragonpit anywhere. So most likely, it is off screen to the right, where it should be. Same with the shot from Cersei's perspective in Season 6, Episode 10. All we can see is the Great Sept of Baelor, which is on a hill called Visenya's Hill. So the Dragonpit is probably on Rhaenys Hill, off screen to the right, where it should be. If you didn't know, these 2 hills are named after Aegon the Conqueror's 2 wives, his older and younger sisters, Visenya and Rhaenys. But at the end of the day, where they situate the Dragonpit is not really that important. What's important is that we have been to 4 of the 5 notable locations of the city, and based off some spoilers which I will not get into in this video, we are going to see the 5th location in Season 7. Which should not be a surprise because the Dragonpit has a lot of history over the last 300 years since Aegon conquered Westeros. So that's what we're going to quickly touch on here today. The history, so as to give you a little more color if or when we see the Dragonpit in Season 7. This is all history and lore though, so don't worry. There will not be Season 7 spoilers in this video. So let's go really far back all the way to Aegon the Conqueror, 300 years ago. His true love, his younger sister, Rhaenys, supposedly got shot down out of the sky while trying to conquer Dorne. There are some interesting theories out there that she survived. Check out that video. Aegon named one of the hills in King's Landing after her. He called it Rhaenys Hill, and he built the Sept of Remembrance there in her honor. Aegon's son, Maegor I, otherwise known as Maegor the Cruel, well, some consider him to be the worst king ever. There was a faith militant uprising against him. I'll expand on that in a separate Game of Thrones 101 video, but basically, the faith militant gathered there for prayer, and he flew over on Balerion the Blackdread and burnt them all. Anyone who survived the fire and tried to run away got slaughtered by Maegor the Cruel's soldiers. He then ordered the construction of a dragon pit there to house the dragons. He could not find people to build it for him though. The reason is because the builders were scared. This goes back to the construction of the Red Keep. So his father, Aegon the Conqueror, started building the Red Keep, but Maegor finished it. And as you probably know, there are a lot of secret passageways in the Red Keep, such as the ones that Varys uses to sneak around and spy on people, and also the passages that Tyrion snuck around to kill Tywin. But not many people know about these secret passageways, not even people like Jaime or Cersei. The reason is because after the Red Keep was fully built hundreds of years ago, Maegor the Cruel killed all the builders to keep the passageways a secret. So quick recap. Aegon the Conqueror's sister, Rhaenys, supposedly died fighting in Dorne, so he built a Sept of Remembrance on Rhaenys Hill in her honor. Then one of Aegon's son, Maegor the Cruel, becomes king. Maegor sucked as a king, and the faith militants started to fight back, so they set up base of operations at the Sept of Remembrance, but Maegor the Cruel flew over on Balerion the Blackdread and burnt them while they were in prayer. So the Sept of Remembrance was destroyed. After that, Maegor the Cruel ordered the construction of the Dragon Pit, but the people were like, hell no, count me out. So he had to use prisoners to build it, and he also hired construction managers from the free cities of Essos. Now let's fast forward about 90 years, and we're almost midway from Aegon's conquest to the present day. This is when the infamous civil war called the Dance of Dragons took place. One of the sides was Aegon II. He was coronated at the Dragon Pit, while the other side, his half-sister Rhaenyra, she was pregnant at Dragonstone. I'm going to start a multiple-part series on the Dance of Dragons civil war later today, so don't worry about the details of that war just yet. A lot happens, and eventually Rhaenyra takes back King's Landing from her half-brother Aegon II. But because of a lot of drama, people started changing sides. The common folk started to hate her. At one point, a huge crowd ransacked the Dragon Pit. Hundreds or thousands of people died fighting the dragons. But so did all the 5 dragons inside of it, and in the process, the Dragon Pit was ruined. It was completely burnt, and even its dome ceiling had collapsed. Now let's skip forward another 80 years or so, and there's something called the Great Spring Sickness, basically a devastating plague that killed 40% of the people in King's Landing. Lord Brynden Rivers, who you probably know as the Three-Eyed Raven, was Hand of the King at the time. This is about 100 years prior to the present day, which gives you some color on just how old Blood Raven is. So many people were dying that Brynden, or Bloodraven, had the bodies piled up at the Dragon Pit 10 feet high and then burned them all with wildfire. So the point is, a lot of people have died at the Dragon Pit over the last 260 years in 3 main events, and they didn't just die here, they were burned here. So if there are ghosts in this story, then this would be a prime location. And if blood magic works stronger at locations where a lot of people have died, then blood magic is going to be very strong at the Dragon Pit, because a lot of people have died here. And even if neither of these are true, it's just cool to know the backstory if or when we see the Dragon Pit in Season 7. Oh, and one last thing. It's worth noting that there's probably some of Mad King Aerys' wildfire stored beneath the Dragon Pit. In the books, there definitely is. That's it for this one. Next up will be a preview video to the Dance of the Dragon Civil War, and then at least 5 focused videos on the Dance of the Dragon Civil War. Special shout out to Fluffernutter. I just noticed something this morning which I need to reach out to you about. Thank you to Fluffernutter and everyone on the team over there. As I mentioned the other day, we would only be a 1 or 2 video a month channel if not for the hope that you've given us in terms of a long-term successful Patreon campaign. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Y'all are grandfathered into Team Bridge 4 for life.